rather just not have cops at all. The cops aren't stopping the crime. Our government's scamming us.
So, this guy's right, by the way. I mean, except for one thing. He's saying that they're not doing their jobs. They're literally doing their job. Their job is to attack middle-class Americans and subdue them into paying tickets and fines. Okay? Their job is to drum up money for the city. That is what they are there for. They are not there for any of this law enforcement purposes. When those things arise, they have to go do it. But their primary function is to create revenue for the city. Okay, that's the problem. And that's the thing. And here's the other thing that most people don't know about the police. The police do not have a valid authority. In a republic, in order to have valid authority to act, you have to be elected. The police are not elected. The chief of police is not elected, and thus don't have proper authority. They're all appointed, meaning that they don't have constitutional authority. The people, go read your state constitution, and it's going to tell you right in the beginning, Article 1, that the people is where government derives all its authority from, and it derives it through elections. Without an election, someone holding a position of authority has to have been given that authority from someone who was elected. Police don't have it. The sheriff does, and the deputies do. And they're held accountable through elections. Because if you don't like the way the sheriff has been performing his job, guess what? He's out. Next election, right? Can't do that with the cops, though, can you? Because they're not under a republic, okay? They're not a Republican form of government. They have nothing to do with the republic. They're not. They're corporate entities, okay? Go look at who they work for. Who they work for? The city. Well, the city is a corporate entity. They're municipal corporations. And anyone who argues that with me, I'm going to show you right now, you're just dead wrong. Okay, so this is Black Law's 4th edition. That's where this comes from. And we're going to go to the definition of corporation. I just want to show you guys it's an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation. Okay? Now, we're going to go into these different types of corporations. You have public corporation is one created by the state for political purposes. Public is political purposes, right? They act as an agency in an administration of civil government. That's a public corporation, okay? So private corporations are those founded by and composed of private individuals for private purposes, as distinguished from governmental purposes. This is why I tell people you can't mix public and private. That people don't understand. Anyway, just a side note, but let's go to this corporation here. We're talking about municipal corporation. Oh, see that title, municipal corporations. Fine, we'll go. We're going to go municipal. Yeah, I just had it. All right, municipal corporation. Okay, here it is. Municipal corporation, a public corporation created by government for political purposes and having subordinate and local powers of legislation. That's a municipal corporation, okay? Right? They can conduct local civil government. Legal institution formed by charter from sovereign power, erecting a populous community, a prescribed area into a body politic. So what is this? It's a legal institution formed by charter from sovereign power. The people. It comes from the people, okay? And the corporate with corporate name and continuous succession for the purposes and with the authority of subordinate self-government and improvement and local administration affairs of state. All right? This is a municipal corporation. It's a corporation. That's what these people are, okay? So because they're not, it's not formed by charter from sovereign power, like through an election, the police themselves actually don't have valid authority, but they are protected by the state because they're making money for the state. They're drumming up business for the state, so they're going to protect them. Okay? But their power is not. Now, look, if we held elections like every 4 years, 2 years, 4 years for the chief of police, then I would say, yeah, they would have, because you hire the chief, and then he hires his officers, okay? Just like the way the sheriff works. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not been that way. And that's one of the issues. See, like I said in this video, this guy is under the impression that they're not doing their job, but they are. They are hired to fund the corporation. That's their job. And they're not under state powers, okay? They're under federal powers. Go look at a cop and look at his uniform. I've been saying this for years, and now I'm starting to hear people say it around TikTok and stuff like that, but I was saying this before anyone else ever pointed this out. Look at the cop's uniform. What flag does he have on the uniform? Is it a state flag? Is it the city flag? Or is it the federal flag? It's a federal flag. He's flying the U.S. flag. And now I know people are going to write it off as, well, what about the state? He's not getting his power from the state, is he? His authority comes from the federal government, meaning that he is actually an extension of the Navy. That's why he's the boys in blue. They're an extension of the Navy, and they're administering, right, these Admiralty maritime codes on dry dock vessels, which they call motor vehicles. That's why you need a license for that, because when you're out at sea, and anyone who's in the Navy knows exactly what I'm talking about, you need a freaking license to operate a forklift. But you don't need a license to operate a forklift on the land, but you do need one when you're on a ship in the middle of the sea. Right? So people who are in the Navy are very familiar with that kind of stuff, right? Or if you were, any kind of, seaman kind of job or whatever. Anyway, the point is this. They are doing their job. Their job is to keep the people subdued just enough so that they don't fight, okay? And make sure that they stay struggling, because middle class is kind of funny, because the middle class struggles, and they're actually the most competent people. But at the same time, they have to spend all their time working in order to continue being middle class. So they spend a lot of time working, making money in order to maintain that middle class status. Because if they go poor, well, the way their life is going to be, they're not going to be very happy with, right? Struggling, living off of government, aid and stuff like that. So they're trying to maintain that. And the police force, what they're trying to do is keep people from going too far and also fund the city. Okay, so they keep people subdued and keep people in fear that way. That is their job. That is what they're doing. That's their intent. Okay, and the cops probably unaware about it, but that is what's going on. Okay, so their job is to fund the cities. So that's what they do. They go and ticket people so that the municipal corporations get funded.